Edgar Wright has knocked it out of the park once again with this film. Why Last Night in Soho is my favourite film of the year so far. So basically, Last Night in Soho is directed by Edgar Wright, who is one of my favourite filmmakers working today. In fact, he is my favourite filmmaker working today. And basically, I've seen this film twice now. And even after watching it a second time, even noticing more and more problems with the film, honestly, I just absolutely love it. I really do. And it's by far my favourite movie 2021. And oddly enough, another Edgar Wright movie is my third favourite movie 2021 so far. And that is the Sparks documentary, which I absolutely adored. And now we have Last Night in Soho, which is my favourite movie of 2021 so far. Bear in mind we're in November, and there are some other big movies coming out soon. But still, Last Night in Soho is just brilliant in my opinion. It's incredible. I just absolutely love it for so many reasons. Like I said before, you know, I watched this film for the second time and I noticed a lot more problems with it the second time. I noticed a lot more plot holes in there and a lot more moments where it didn't quite get to the same part as some of Edgar Wright's, you know, previous films, which I absolutely adore, like some of his best films in my opinion, like Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and also Shaun of the Dead, and so on and so on and so on. But nevertheless, it does feel like an Edgar Wright film, and in the best way possible. It feels like all of his other films, which I previously loved. Honestly, I've loved every single one of Edgar Wright's films, and this film feels like it's some of his other films, and in the best way possible. Like, what I mean there is it's got segments of Hot Fuzz in that one stage, it's got segments of Shaun of the Dead in that one stage, even moments which remind you of The World's End, moments which remind you of Baby Driver, and even moments which remind you of Scott Pilgrim to a degree, and just things like that, which make me love it so much. Just moments towards the end of the film reminding me of Hot Fuzz, and in the best way possible, because I have seen some people criticise this film online because of its third act. And yes, the third act is a bit silly. I mean, I'm not going to go into spoilers what happens in case you haven't seen the film, but yes, the third act is a bit silly to a degree. But so is the third act of Hot Fuzz. You know, in the third act of Hot Fuzz, Simon Pegg returns to the village and he finds off all these old village people. And it just sounds so silly and, you know, just so extravagant on the surface, but actually it really enough works in Hot Fuzz. In fact, it works brilliantly. And the same thing happens here. Yes, on the surface, the third act sounds a bit, okay, is that really going to work? But actually it does, with Dynamic's fantastic performance, with the way Thomas McKenzie plays that character in the third act of the film, and all the other things that are going on, and the fact that Edgar Wright goes full on out with the third act of the film, the fact that it doesn't shy away from the big payoff is what makes the end of Last Night in Soho work. It's the same with Hot Fuzz. You know, it's silly, the third act of that film, but then because of Edgar Wright's direction, because of the execution of the third act of Hot Fuzz, it works. And that's the same with Last Night in Soho. It shouldn't work in its third act, but it does because of its execution. And that's kind of why the film works overall. Because actually, the story, in my opinion, isn't that interesting. Actually, no, I take that back. The story is interesting, it's very unique and everything like that, but it's not the thing which makes me love this film. No, the thing which makes me absolutely love this film is its execution. It's the way Edgar Wright brilliantly blends his filmmaking with his music. Honestly, I love the fact that Edgar Wright does not miss a beat with his soundtracks in any of his films, and no pun intended there, but yes, I just love the fact that Edgar Wright does not miss a beat of any of his soundtracks on any of his films, and the same happens here. I just love they get the 60s fueled soundtrack, which is just so brilliant, and the introduction to the 60s is incredible. Honestly, I love the aesthetic, I love the realism of the 60s, I love the fantastic set pieces, and I also love the fact that You're My World by Cilla Black is playing in the background in the introduction to the 60s, and it's just so brilliant. And I love the fact that all the soundtrack, obviously with the exception of Downtown, sung by Anya Taylor-Joy in the soundtrack, I think most of the soundtrack is actually all 60s music, which is kind of incredible when you think about it. I just love the fact they got a bit of The Who in there, a bit of the Kings with Starstruck, a bit of Dusty Springfield. There's just so many artists which are absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I've been listening to the soundtrack so much recently. I'm in love with the soundtrack. I just absolutely adore the soundtrack, and I wasn't sure if I was going to, because in the end I did think before I saw this film that quite a lot of it would be like 60s music, and sometimes 60s music doesn't always work for me, but actually, you know what? It bloody well does with this film, and in the best way possible. And the reason the soundtrack works so well is because of Edgar Wright's filmmaking. Honestly, like I said before, there's no other director like Edgar Wright working today, and in the best way possible. Like, I can see why some people might compare compare him to Tarantino, and in fact, you know, I talked about this in my first review of Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright is actually friends with Quentin Tarantino. They're actually good friends. The thing is, though, I wouldn't compare it to Tarantino. I'm not always the biggest fan of Tarantino films, but the thing is, though, I'm a fan of all the Edgar Wright films because of his execution. Sometimes these stories aren't always there. Like, I don't think the story for The World's End is particularly brilliant, but I love the execution of that film. I love the execution of Last Night in Soho as well. There is no film like this out at the moment. There's no film out like Last Night in Soho. There's no film this year that's been like Last Night in Soho either. And there's no film for the past couple of years, you know, that's been like Last Night in Soho. I mean, honestly, it's just so unique in its story, in its execution, in its soundtrack, in its brilliant performances. You know, Thomas Mackenzie, brilliant in the film, so was Anne Taylor-Joy, so was Matt Smith, Thomas Stamp, who's tuned scene in the best way possible, so is Diana Rigg, who's also tuned scene in the best way possible. Honestly, all the performances are fantastic, but yet again, the reason it works is because Edgar Wright's hands are all over this film in the best way possible. If it's a script which is so unique and so bold and just so brilliant and all in the best way possible, or whether it's just a direction, the filmmaking which is just so ahead of its time. And the funny thing is with this film is I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, because I remember when the Rotten Tomatoes score was released online after the film premiered, was it Venice Film Festival, and basically, yes, it got a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes after it premiered, which is the lowest scored Edgar Wright film on Rotten Tomatoes today, and that got me worried whether that's going to work for me. But actually, in the end, I don't know what the critics on Rotten Tomatoes are going on about. I honestly don't know what the criticisms are of this film, because I adore it. I adore it to pieces. I really, really do. And the thing is, though, there's no solid reason I love this film, because in the end, it's all these little reasons. Because yes, you have all these flaws with the film, but the thing is, though, it's still enjoyable, and the film still works, even when you notice all those plot holes. And that's why I kind of love it so much as well. The fact is, though, I can sit back and look at all these Edgar Wright films, whether it's Scott Pilgrim, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, and so on and so on and so on, and go, okay, these films have so many plot holes, you know, so many glaring plot holes like that, but miraculously, they still work, and you don't care about the plot holes in the end. You just care about the film. You just care about your enjoyment of the film because you just had such an amazing time watching it. And that's the same with Last Night in Soho. You don't really care about all the plot holes because in the end, you sit there at the end of the film and go, oh my god, that was brilliant. You know, the story is just so different than all these other film stories I'm seeing nowadays. The filmmaking is so brilliant, and the 60s aesthetic is so fantastic. And I love it. I just absolutely love this film so much because it's so different than any other film made nowadays, and in the best way possible. Honestly, that in the end is probably my main reason that it's my favourite film of 2021 so far, because it's so different than any other movie made in 2021 yet, and also it's so different than any other movie made in the past couple of years as well. Honestly, it's incredible. It's incredible in my opinion, and I've seen it twice now, and I want to go watch it a third time. Whether I will is a different matter entirely, because I know, you know, films coming out the cinema, with the Eternals coming, I know this film will be quickly coming out the cinema, but still, I would love to go watch it a third time in the cinema if I had the chance, because I haven't had this experience with film in such a long time. Because, you know, I said this in my first review Last Night in Soho. At the end of the film, I just kind of sat there and just savoured up the moment of sitting in the cinema after watching this movie. Because I had such a fantastic feeling. Just because, you know, Edgar Wright did it again. You know, like I said before, the Sparks documentary, which came out, what was it, July, I absolutely adored that film. That's like my third favourite film of 2021 so far as well. But the thing is, though, I was worried about this one. I was worried about this one because of the Rotten Tomatoes score. I was worried whether Edgar Wright was going to pull off again 2 films in the same year. Is he going to make both of them good? And you know what? Not only did he make both of them good, he made both of them absolutely brilliant and just so incredible. In fact, I love Last Night in Soho more than Sparks documentary, and I adore the Sparks documentary. But the thing is, though, Last Night in Soho, I don't know. It does something for me which no other film this year has done for me yet. Honestly, I adore it to pieces. I absolutely adore it. And I could go on and on and on about how much I love this film. But you know what? I've kind of already done that already. But yes, I love the filmmaking. I love the soundtrack. I love the aesthetic. I love the story. And I just love the film as a whole. And yet again, Edgar Wright has knocked it out of the park. Honestly, I just absolutely adore this film. And I can't recommend it enough. Honestly, if it's still on at the cinema, wherever you are, go and check it out. You will not be disappointed. I mean, yes, it's an 18, so you do have that actually. So you do have to be over 18 to watch the film, but nevertheless, if the film is shown at the cinema near you, go and check it out. Just go and check it out because it's so brilliant in my opinion, and I just absolutely love it. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Last Night in Soho, after second viewing, I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10 again. Honestly, I love the fact that I had such a fantastic time watching it a second time as well. Like, sometimes when you go to watch a film a second time, you don't always have the same experience that you had watching it the first time. And I did kind of go into the film the second time thinking, am I going to love this as much as I did the first time? Is it going to still work for me? And even so, like I said before, I noticed more plot holes in this film, it still works for me. And that shows you how much I love it. And the fact that I can notice all these things which are wrong with the film, the fact that I can notice all these plot holes, the fact that I can notice all the reasons that I don't think it's the best Edgar Wright film to date, but I still absolutely adore it. And the fact is, you know, it's one of my least favourite Edgar Wright films, but that's saying something because it's still my favourite movie of 2021. You know, probably put it on the same par as The World's End, but honestly, The World's End for me is like a comfort movie. I go back to The World's End like, you know, 7 times a year. I like it that much. It's one of those movies I stick on and I have a huge grin on my face whenever I'm watching The World's End, and I can imagine myself having a similar relationship to this film in the near distant future. I just love it that much. Honestly, I could go on and on about how much I adore Last Night in Soho, because I do so much. I really do. And I had to make a second video about it because I love it so much. Honestly, I probably won't make another video about another film coming out in 2021 unless I love it more than Last Night in Soho, and I can't see that happening, by the way. But yes, I just had to make another video about Last Night in Soho because I love it. I really love this film. I think it's incredible. I think everyone should go and check it out. It's another brilliant Edgar Wright film. He does not miss a beat with any of his films or any of his soundtracks to his films like that. And honestly, I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much, and honestly, I just can't wait to watch it again and again and again and again. It's another Edgar Wright film I love. You know, I love Shaun of the Dead, I love Hot Fuzz, I love The World's End, I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, I love the space TV show he did, and I also love Baby Driver, I love the Sparkle documentary, and also, I love Last Night in Soho. Man, does that feel good to say, because I was worried to go watch this film. Edgar Wright is my favourite film director working today, and you know what? He did it again. He did it again. And yet again, he's made a film which I just absolutely adore and can't wait to rewatch over and over again. And that is why I absolutely love Last Night in Soho and why it's my favourite movie of 2021 so far. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Last Night in Soho, I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Last Night in Soho? Please do comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Honestly, I just can't recommend this film enough. Go and check out your local cinema if it's still out in the cinema, because honestly, I just can't recommend it enough, and I absolutely love it. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video. I look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews, coming very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!